Heart at the Hazbin Hotel, Chapter 27. Okay, so now that all the fun's out of the way, how about we go and tell everybody this good news? Although there might be one demon you don't want to have find out. Ooh, it sounds tricky. Let's see what happens. Chapter 27. Something to Say. Heart's Point of View. After Alistair proposed to me, we stayed at home for 3 days straight, just enjoying each other's company and staying in bed for almost all of it. I figured that we should try and get out of the house, and we should finally go tell our friends the news. I'm sure they were all worried about us. I haven't touched my phone to tell them anything. When I woke up this morning, and after a small session, I managed to get to my phone and text everyone that we were okay, and that we would be stopping over to see them. Alistair gave me the idea to just have everyone meet at the hotel, so that's what I told everyone to do. It made it easier to tell them all at once the exciting news. I told them to meet me there at noon. As I laid there in bed, catching up on things that I've missed, Russ texted me. Angel won't be around today until later tonight. He has a job at the studio to do. I texted him back. That's okay. I can always call him and let him know. Thanks, Russ. I saw Russ replying. No problem. See you later. I looked down to Alistair. He had his head laying on my stomach, with his arms wrapped around my waist. I smiled at him. I laid one of my hands on his head and took one of his ears into my fingers and gently started to pet it. I saw his tail give a small flick at my touch. Why did he have to be so cute? Al, Russ told me that Angel won't be around today. Should I just call him and tell him now? I asked him. Alistair stayed where he was. I don't see why not. Unless you want to stop by the studio and see him, I heard him say. My ears went down a little. I really don't want to go by there, to be honest with you. That's fine by me. Alistair ran his hand down my leg. I don't want to have to deal with Vox or Valentino right now anyway. I guess that's true. I looked back at my phone. Now, no funny business while I call Angel. You know how he can be. All Alistair did was chuckle. Third person point of view with Angel. Angel was in his dressing room getting ready when he heard his phone starting to vibrate. He looked to see that it was Hart. He gave a sigh of relief since he hasn't heard or seen the girl in the last few days. He had a few minutes till he had to get ready, so he answered. Well, look who it is. You were silent for a while there, babe. Was afraid something happened to yous. Angel set off the bat. Sorry, Angel. I didn't mean to worry you. Angel heard Hart apologize. Angel gave a chuckle. Nah, it was Russ who was worried, and when he gets worried, I start to as well. Well, either way, I'm sorry I worried you guys. Hart apologized. No sweat, babe. Don't worry about it. Angel sat in his chair. He had to keep getting ready, so he put her on speaker, putting the phone down on the dresser. So, where have you been the last 4 days? I've been home. I've just been unable to get to my phone, Hart told him. Angel laughed. I've been keeping you in bed, eh? That's none of your concern, Angel. Angel covered his ears from the sound of the static that went through the phone as Alistair answered his question. Okay, I'm sorry. Angel then fixed his hair in the mirror. Unknown to Angel, the scream from the phone caught someone's attention as they walked by. They were actually there to tell Angel that he was needed soon, but that voice made them question what was going on. They stood by the dressing room door, listening to the conversation now as they heard the radio demon speak again. Keep your dirty mind there, please. Angel heard Alistair growl with static. He then heard Hart talk to Alistair. Al, calm down. You know Angel's only joking around. Angel heard some shuffling around, and it seemed that Alistair had gotten up. He heard the door shut. Alistair must have left the room. Hart sighed. Sorry about that, she quickly said. How do you know I was at the studio? Angel asked them. Russ told me. I texted him to have you guys meet me at the hotel later, but he said you would be busy all day at work, Hart answered. Me at the hotel? Why, what's up? Angel wondered with a look of confusion. Well, I wanted to have everyone there when I told them the news, but since you won't be there till tonight, I figure I'd let you know now. Hart explained to him. Angel could hear the cheeriness in her voice as she said that. News? Well, lay it on me, Toots, Angel said with excitement, wondering what his friend was going to tell him. There was a pause on Hart's end. Alistair asked me to marry him. Tell me you said no, Angel said with a laugh. Hart laughed at that. I said yes, you jackass. Angel then laughed louder. He knew she was only playing around. Aw, well, congrats, babe. I'm happy for you guys. There a date yet? Angel got out some of his makeup and started to put some of it on his face. Not yet. We haven't really talked about it. Yeah, because you've been busy getting busy, Angel laughed as he paused from putting on his eyeliner. We're busy like animals, Hart joked at him. Angel just looked at his phone with wide eyes. Yeah, all right, I get it. Don't go into details, okay? I'd like to keep hold of my breakfast. Angel went back to putting on his eyeliner. The person eavesdropping at the door stood back in surprise from what they heard. They didn't even know the radio demon was with someone. They had a devilish smile come onto their face. They had to tell their boss about this, though. They knew he would love it. If they knew anything, the boss was not a fan of Alistair. Hart's voice went soft for a moment. You want to be in my bridal party, Angel? Angel's mouth went open. He stared at his phone. You pulling my leg? No, I'm being serious, Hart answered with a chuckle. Angel let out a smile. I'd love to, babe. Thank you for considering me. You're welcome. I don't care what Al says. But you're my friend, Angel, and I want you to be there, Hart told him. Aw, I'm glad I'm considered as such. Angel looked at the time. I'd love to stay and chit-chat, doll, but I gotta finish getting ready. Oh, of course. Don't let me hold you up any longer. Talk to you later, Angel. Hart then hung up. Angel shook his head. They're engaged now. That's nuts, Angel said to himself as he continued to put his makeup on again. I'm happy for them, though. There was a knock on Angel's dressing room door. There was a female demon that walked in. Boss wants you there in 5 more minutes, Angel Cakes. Angel looked at the demon through his mirror. I'll be done in a few, Sarah. Tell him I'll be there. The female demon nodded and closed the door. Her devilish smile came back onto her face as she quickly went to tell her boss what she found out. Hart's point of view. As I talked to Angel, Alistair had gotten a little angry about our conversation. Of course, it was the spider demon's fault. I was expecting it, though. He had gotten dressed in his shirt and pants and walked out of the room as I continued to talk to my friend. Knowing him, he probably went to his study. I decided to get up and head to the bathroom and got cleaned off first. When I was done, Alistair was still not back in the bedroom, so I went to look for him. When I walked out of the bedroom, I heard the sound of music filling the hallway coming from inside the study. Alistair was definitely in there. I walked into the study and found Alistair in the corner of the room by the window, with the curtain drawn as he looked out into the woods. His chin was sitting on his hand that was on the armrest of the chair. He had a closed-lipped smile on his face. He had the big radio in the room on as it played some soft jazz. I stood in the doorway and smiled as I looked at him. I admired him sitting there in content. Alistair lifted his head and looked at me. He smiled, showing his teeth. He held out his other hand to me. I said nothing as I walked into the room over to the deer demon. I placed my hand into his, and he pulled me down into his lap. He leaned in, kissed my forehead, before pulling me close to his chest and wrapping his arms around me. We sat in silence as the music was still playing. I was cuddled up with Alistair with my head laying in the crook of his neck. He said nothing at first. I was just enjoying the warmth of being wrapped up in his arms. I am always reminded how much I love this man, because he always showed his love for me in the littlest of ways. I just loved it. How was your conversation with Angel? Alistair finally asked, breaking the silence. It went fine. You shouldn't get so angry with Angel. You should know how he gets to be, I told him as I kissed his neck. Alistair chuckled. I know. I apologize. It's okay. I picked up my head and looked at him. Are you ready to head out? We should leave soon. Alistair nodded. I am. He squeezed his arms around me a moment. I just want to stay like this for a little while longer. He just continued to look out the window. I went back to being silent as the music played behind us still. I closed my eyes in content as I just got comfortable against him. I listened to his calm breathing as well. This moment was just pure bliss, and I honestly wanted to stay here with him. I didn't want to leave the house. Unfortunately, I knew we had to leave to meet our friends soon. Alistair unwrapped his arms from around me. Come, my dear. I guess we should be on our way. I groaned and managed to get up off his lap. I straightened out my clothes a moment once I got up. Alistair stood from the chair and went to the radio to turn it off. He snapped his fingers and he was soon dressed into his jacket and his mic cane appeared in his hand. He turned to me. Ready to go? Yes. Let's be on our way then, I answered. We walked out of the house and headed down the dirt road into the city. I reached over and grabbed Alistair's hand. He then laced his fingers with mine. I'm honestly nervous to tell everyone, I admitted. Why, my love? Alistair questioned. I don't know. I guess just me being nervous. I guess it's getting to me. I'm excited, though, I told him as I walked closer to him. I'll be there with you, darling. Don't you worry. These are our friends. It'll be fine, Alistair assured me as he squeezed my hand a moment. I let out a breath and smiled. You're right, Al. I'll be fine. Alistair leaned over and kissed the tip of my ear. We continued walking in silence. Alistair then stopped. I looked up at him a moment, and he was flicking his ears. I heard his radio stations flickering around a moment, like he was trying to pick up on something. Honey, is something the matter? I asked him, worried. I'd never seen him act like this before. Alistair said nothing as his radio static slowly died down. It's nothing. I thought I felt something was following us. They didn't have good intentions. They got off something I couldn't pick up. I held onto Alistair's hand tighter and got closer to him. Should we be worried? I said with a nervous tone in my voice. Alistair took his other hand and placed it on my head. He caressed my ear between his fingers to keep me calm. Don't worry, my dear. I'll just be on extra alert just in case. I let out a small breath from his touch. Well, let's hurry and get to the hotel then. I agree, Alistair responded as he took his hand away from my ear. We quickly started walking again. I could tell Alistair was more alert as we walked. He had a stern look on his face as he was looking around everywhere. I saw his ears flick and his radio noises rising and falling as well as we continued to walk. I was glad to finally be at the hotel. We walked in through the front door and saw my friends in the lobby. They all were by the bar. Russ was there too, but it looked as though Lizzie and Coda weren't there yet. Was even surprised to see Husk and Nifty down there as well. They were technically Alistair's friends after all, so I'm sure he was glad they were there. I smiled so big as we walked up to the group. Hi everyone, I greeted them when we got closer. Hey guys, everyone greeted us. Charlie walked up to me and gave me a big hug, and I hugged her back. Is Lizzie and Coda here yet? I asked her just in case as we got out of the hug. Charlie shook her head. No, I haven't seen them yet. I hope you don't mind if I wait till they get here, I wondered to make sure. Of course, we don't mind waiting. Come over with all of us, Charlie said and pulled me away from Alistair and over closer to the bar. I started to talk with everyone, and it was super nice to just be around them and all catch up on some things. Of course, most of them asked me where I'd been for the last 4 days. Alistair just chuckled from the question. I just had my face get red as I told them I've just been at home and just enjoying the few days with Alistair by ourselves. Of course, the reason as to why I was home is why I had them all here. I tried to hide my hand from everyone so they wouldn't see my ring, so most of the time I hid it in my pocket. Alistair stood on the outside of the circle of friends. He seemed like he was distracted. I guess whatever happened earlier still had him on edge and alert. It was probably about 10 minutes before Lizzie and Coda walked into the hotel. They apologized for not being here earlier. Told them it was fine, and they stood by the bar with everyone else. I let them talk as I saw Alistair wander off a moment. He stood by the fireplace. I walked over to him and slid my hand into his. "Al, what's wrong?" I asked, concerned. Alistair closed his hand around mine in comfort. "I don't know. Ever since earlier, I've been all on edge. Something just feels off," he told me. I leaned into him. "Alistair, don't worry about it so much right now, okay? We are probably going to celebrate tonight." I smiled up at him. Alistair gave a small laugh. "I guess you're right." Alistair turned to me and smiled wide. "I'll try not to let it bug me too much. I want us to have fun." I nodded, and we walked back over to everyone at the bar. "All right, now that everyone's here, what does he want to tell us?" Charlie wondered. Yes, I'm curious," Nifty said. "Yes, I'm wondering the same, so spill the beans," Russ said with a smile. "Well," I started and looked at every one of my friends in the face. I looked up at Alistair, who looked down at me with one of his big smiles as he gave my hand a reassuring squeeze. I took a breath. Alistair and I are engaged. I watched as everyone gave wide eyes, even Husk. They all were silent. I was honestly afraid of what they were going to say. Then I saw smiles slowly come to all their faces. Charlie started to cheer with a squeal of excitement. "Oh my goodness, guys, congrats!" She ran up to me and hugged me tightly. I laughed happily and wrapped my free arm around her. "Can I see the ring?" Charlie asked, pulling out of the hug. "Of course," I answered, and unwrapped my hand from Alistair and held out my hand to her. Charlie held my hand and looked at the ring. Vaggie, Russ, and Lizzie then walked up next to Charlie and looked at it. "It's so pretty." "Nice looking rock for sure," Russ said. "Thanks, guys," I laughed as they complimented my ring. Lizzie glared at Alistair. "So what makes you want to marry my sister?" she asked sternly as she crossed her arms. I know she was asking because she wanted an approval on what he said. My little sister loved me, and I knew that she just wanted to look out for me. Charlie let go of my hand and then looked to Alistair. I looked up at him as well. He told me his feelings all the other night when he proposed. I'm sure he wasn't going to give the same speech to Lizzie. He was on the spotlight now with all the eyes on him. Alistair put his hands behind his back. "Why would you ask me this, young one? I feel it would be obvious," Alistair said. "I'm her sister. You need to have my approval too. So tell me why," Lizzie said again as she stared at him with slanted eyes. Alistair took a pause as he looked down at Lizzie. He adjusted his monocle a moment. "Dear Lizzie, I love your big sister with all my heart that I have left." I started to blush from his words. "More than I ever thought I could love another. She makes me feel feelings I don't know I had. She's the first one that's made me open up this way." Alistair cast his eyes to me a moment. "I would protect her with all my worth. Plus, the first one I've ever made love to. I'd never do that with any other." I blushed more and just hid my face in my shirt a moment when Alistair mentioned that. "Alistair, now you're just embarrassing me," I said. I heard Alistair laugh and lean down to kiss the top of my ear. I looked up to look at Lizzie. I saw her face was not as stern as she looked at us softly. She huffed. "Fine, I agree to this." She pointed a clawed finger at him. "But if you pull anything like you did when you left her, I will personally kick the shit out of you. You have my word, young lady, that I will never do that again to your sister. I never planned to hurt her, ever." Alistair answered her with a small bow. "I'll take your word," Lizzie said with a bare of her teeth. "I say we have a drink," Husk said. "That's a good idea," Russ said as he walked back to the bar. "Let's all have a drink," I agreed. "One won't hurt," Alistair agreed as well. We all went to the bar as Husk pulled out some shot glasses. He filled them with whiskey, and everyone took a glass when filled. Charlie lifted her glass to them. We will toast right now to these two, so they may have a great future together. Everyone else raised their glasses. Alistair wrapped his arm around my waist in the process. We clinked our glasses together and downed the shots. The rest of the day, we did a little celebration type thing as we talked with everyone and had drinks. It was such a nice time to talk with everyone again. Of course, I never told them why I hadn't talked to them the last few days, although I'm sure they figured out why. Angel did eventually come back to the hotel after his time at the studio. I was so happy to see him today. He hugged me tight and it was like he didn't want to let go. They were all happy for me. I was glad to have such amazing friends that supported me. Alistair didn't seem on edge the rest of the day, although I feel the alcohol was just making him calm is all. I just didn't want him worrying so much over it. Whatever he felt today, I'm sure he'll investigate. We all were sitting by the fireplace now. Me and Alistair were on the couch with Angel next to me. Charlie, Vaggie, Nifty, Lizzie, and Russ all sat on the floor around us. Husk and Koda were still at the bar, talking. "You have a date yet?" Vaggie asked. "No, we haven't talked about it yet," I told her. "Well, if you had to choose right now, on the spot, what would you choose?" Charlie asked. Alistair snickered. "If you'd ask me, I'd say as soon as tomorrow." I blushed so hard. Alistair was just old school sometimes. He just wanted to jump to me, getting to his wife as soon as possible. Alistair noticed me blushing. He laughed and leaned in to place a kiss on my cheek. "I wouldn't do that to you, dear. That would be stressful," Alistair said to me. I chuckled. Had me scared there a moment. But to be honest with you guys, I would probably say as soon as possible myself if it wasn't so stressful. I took a sip of my drink. In all seriousness, though, I'd say in the next year or two, on our anniversary, to make it more meaningful. "Why do you say that?" Nifty asked. Alistair reached over and grabbed my hand. I tangled my fingers into his. That night of our anniversary, that day we got together, was the best night of my life. I would just want to add on to that memory. I felt Alistair lean over and kiss my cheek again. I looked over at him and smiled. "How did that night go? I've always wanted to ask." "I hope you don't mind my curiosity," Angel wondered. I gave a chuckle as I glanced at the spider demon. "It's no worry. Well, the best way I can explain that night is that we didn't really have much to say to each other. The songs we danced to were perfect enough to show the true light of our feelings," I explained to him. "Was a very elegant evening with a beautiful lady," Alistair added. My blush came back as I felt my cheeks get warm again. I looked at the deer demon next to me. Well, minus everything that happened that day beforehand with the demon that attacked me. You saved me. It showed me that you cared. I then felt bad for ignoring my feelings I was having and ignoring you at first. I didn't know how much that day was going to change my life. And I'll always protect you and save you from anyone that wants to harm my sweet wolf," Alistair said as he took his other hand and poked my nose lightly. Everyone gave a chuckle at us from that. "You guys are so cute," Nifty said with a smile. I smiled so wide. I was just glad everyone approved of us. The rest of the night was so much fun with everyone. They kept asking me questions about what I'd do for the wedding. I feel there's too much to think of right now, but I just threw out answers. It made me wonder what Alistair was thinking about all this. I'll have to talk to him about it more, but maybe not tonight. A question then came to my mind. Who all would want to be in my bridal party? I knew I wanted it to be small. I honestly didn't want to have that big of a wedding happen. I'm sure Alistair wouldn't mind that either. I already asked Angel, but I had to think of who my maid of honor had to be. It was a hard decision, but I did eventually make my choice. "Lizzie, can I ask you something?" I asked her. I felt bad taking her out of her conversation with Maggie. "What's up, sis?" Lizzie wondered as she turned to me. I took a pause and just smiled at her softly. "Will you be my maid of honor?" Lizzie's eyes went wide, and I saw her tail wag a moment. "Me? Why me?" she questioned. I gave a small chuckle from her response. "Because you're my sister, silly," I wouldn't want anyone else but you. Lizzie soon smiled with her tail wagging more. I'd love to, sis, she answered me with a smile. I stood up from the couch and Lizzie got up from the floor as we shared a hug. Everyone just awed at us. It was nice to have my sister be around with me for this moment of my life. Something I never thought I would have the experience of having. I was so happy I found someone to love. It was soon getting late, so we decided to just stay at the hotel tonight, so we didn't have to walk home. Plus, I was sure that we both had a good amount to drink, so I didn't want to walk home the way we were. Russ thought the same, so he went with Angel to his room. Lizzie and Coda stayed as well, and I told her she could sleep in my old hotel room. We just decided to stay the night in Alistair's old hotel room ourselves. Of course, just getting to the room was a challenge on its own, with us having been drinking a little. Alistair had me pinned up against the wall of the hallway as we tried to get to the room. He had me in a deep kiss as his hands snaked their way under my shirt. Ow! I started through our kiss and pushed him away a moment. Can we get to the room first before you start anything? Even though I pushed him away from my lips, he went to my neck and started to lay kisses there as well. We aren't home, you know. Alistair pulled away from my neck and looked at me. I know. You think I care. I heard him give a low radio growl in his throat. I don't want to be caught in the hallway is all I'm saying, I told him defensively. Fine, come on, Alistair said as he lifted me up into his arms. I let out a yelp in surprise from him picking me up. He took us to his hotel room, using his powers to open and close the door. He took me over to the bed to lay me down in it. He disposed of his jacket to the floor and then climbed in bed on top of me. He sat on my legs as he leaned down and started to kiss me again. My hands laid to the side of my head. Alistair put his hands into mine and intertwined our fingers. He pulled away from our kiss a moment. I love you, he said as he looked down at me with a loving gaze. I love you too, I said in return as I looked up at him softly. I don't think we've made love in my hotel bed before, Alistair realized with a smirk. Tonight will be fun. I smirked as well. Well, I guess we better change that, I said as I pulled him down back onto me and kissed him deeply. The rest of the night was history. Third person point of view. Are you sure about this? The tall figure asked. Yes, I'm sure, Sarah said with a small bit of anger. I'm most positive I heard the conversation correctly. The girl that was at Angel's dressing room earlier stood in front of two figures that sat on the couch. The tall one laughed. I feel this will be a perfect opportunity to get to that rival of yours, the tall one said as he looked to the other male figure next to him. I agree. I've wanted to push his buttons for a while. This would be the perfect way to do it, the second male said. The tall one laughed deeply. Plus, I feel it would be a good time to try out that little experiment we've had our little friend making. You can have fun with that. I'm not taking part in it. I just want to watch him squirm as I broadcast it directly to him. The second male laughed. Sarah widened her eyes at them. Sir, you don't mean... She was afraid to finish. Yeah, I mean that. The figure stood and towered above her. Leave, and go tell our little scientist friend to get that serum ready. We have some planning to do. Sarah stood shaky a moment. Yes, sir. Then she ran out of the room. We can finally get to that asshole. I've wanted this for years, the male on the couch still said. The tall one started laughing again. We'll both get to him in more ways than one. Think we should send someone out to investigate? The second one asked as he stood up as well. Yeah, I believe so. I know he's been hanging out at that stupid hotel in town. I think we should start around there, the tall one said as he walked to the window. This is going to be so fun, the second one laughed. I'm coming for you, Alistair. They both then gave out an evil laugh as they started to work out a plan. End of chapter 27. Oh no, there's trouble in the darkness. Who is it? Will we find out? Maybe soon. Stick around to find out. Until later, guys.